I am making a Hecahands Horus deck profile since I got the rest of the stuff I needed for Horus. And I really like how the deck plays with the Horus engine letting you use rank 8s, and then just Hecahands just going, this is mine now, to your opponent's cards. Start out with the monsters. I play 3 copies of Hecahands Ibtel. Ibtel has the effect where you can reveal it from your hand, shuffle it back into the deck, with the revealing from hand being the cost. But you shuffle it back into the deck and then summon a Hecahands monster from your deck, except for another copy of Ibtel. And then Ibtel also has the effect that if this card is sent to the graveyard, then you can target a Hecahands monster in your graveyard, except for a Hecahands Ibtel, and special summon it. So, and then I also play 3 copies of Hecahands Yodel. Hecahands Yodel does the same thing as Ibtel, except instead of summoning a monster, it will let you grab a Hecahands spell or trap from your deck. And then with the same effect as Ibtel when it's into the graveyard, you get to add you get to target a Hecahands spell or trap from your graveyard and set it. I'll say it now, but all the Hecahands effects are all hard ones per turns. Then next, I play 3 copies of Nightmare Apprentice. Nightmare Apprentice just lets you discard a card to special summon it. And then on summon, Apprentice will let you be able to add an illusion monster from your deck to your hand. I'll go ahead and say it now because I realized I forgot to mention it with Ibtel or Yodel. All illusion monsters, at least in this deck, share the effect that if they battle, then neither monster can be destroyed in that battle. And then for some reason I want to say Apprentice does something else. Nope. For some reason I always think Nightmare Apprentice does more than it actually does. And then next I play 2 copies of Hecahands Gygus. Gygus, Godos, and Brius all share the effect here. If your opponent adds a card from their deck to their hand, except during the draw phase and I think damage step. Yeah, except for the draw phase and damage step. Then you can reveal it in your hand and special summon it. And then Gygus has the additional effect of during your main phase, you can excavate the top 3 cards of your opponent's deck. And then if any of those cards are a monster, you can summon one of those monsters. And then you shuffle the rest back into the deck. This card is the main one that's used for your early combo lines. But Brius can also help with that for your turn. And then I just honestly really like Godos. Speaking of, I play 3 copies of Hecahands Godos. Ordinarily, originally I was only playing 2, but realizing that Godos can actually be a decent hand trap, I decided to put Godos at 3. And what I mean by decent hand trap is that if your opponent searches, you can summon Godos from your hand, and then if your opponent tries to summon a monster back from the graveyard, you can just chain Godos' effect of during your opponent's main phase as quick effect. You can target one monster in your opponent's graveyard, special summon it to your field, but banish it when it leaves the field. Against one of my, I remember I was testing this deck against someone playing Canine, and they activated Lupus's effect from Grave. I chained Godos targeting their Lupus, summoning it, and then they destroyed Lupus, thinking it'd just go back to the graveyard, and then panicked a bit when they realized Lupus was removed from play because it was their only Lupus. And then lastly, for the Hecahands monsters, I play 1 copy of Hecahands Brius. Brius, honestly, I feel like is probably the worst one, but it's also, I feel like one of the most rewarding if you're able to pull it off. But Brius just lets you look at 1 random card in your opponent's hand. If it's a monster, you can special summon it to your field. And then that's it for the Hecahands monsters. So for the Horus monsters, I am playing 1 copy of Dwalmatef, Blessing of Horus. Dwalmatef has the effect where, well, all the Horus monsters will share the effect of if you control King Sarcophagus, you can special summon this card from your graveyard. And then Dwalmatef gains 1200 attack for each Horus monster you control. And then they all have their own effects that activate when another card on your field is destroyed. Where Dwamatef will let you draw one card for every different monster in your main monster zone. So if you have 2 Godos and a single Dwamatef, you get to draw 2 cards. I believe that's how that works. I could be wrong because it's been a while since I last actually read it. Let's see, make sure. Use field because of opponent's card. Monster zone. Different names from your monster zone. Okay. I was correct. The only thing I was wrong about is their effects trigger when a card leaves your field because of an opponent's card. That's how it triggers. Next, I played 2 copies of Happy. Let's see, what was it? It was something of Horror. Guidance of Horus. Happy will let when a card leaves the field because of an opponent's card, you can target 2 cards either in the graveyard or banished and add them to their owner's hand. So you could actually use Happy to put 2 monsters in your opponent's hand and then use Brius to try to take one of those monsters, but I don't know why you would do that. And the only reason I'm playing 2 Happy is just because there have been times where Happy gets removed from play and I just can't do what I needed because I lost the 1 Happy. Next, I play 1 copy of Kebasenuef. Kebasenuef is honestly the worst of them, as Kebasenuef just makes so that your Horus monsters can't be targeted or destroyed by card effects. Let's see. Okay, no, your Horus monsters cannot be targeted for attacks or for card effects. But again, it's just here because it's another level 8 that can get to the graveyard and be able to do rank 8 plays. And then lastly, I play 3 copies of Imseti, Glory of Horus. Imseti is by far the best of the Horus monsters, being able to ditch itself, or you discard it and another card from your hand to be able to add a King Sarcophagus from your deck to your hand, and then you get to draw 1 card. So it replaces itself with King Sarcophagus, and then the card you discard with the card from the top of your deck. And then Imseti has the effect that if a card leaves your field, then you can non-target send 1 card. I can't remember if it's 1 card or 1 monster on the field to the graveyard. Let's see, where is it? Yeah, you send 1 card on the field to the graveyard. It doesn't target, it doesn't destroy. And for the hand traps, I play 3 copies of Droll and Lockbird. This is just to stop combo decks, and also Molcharmies if I'm trying to play. As when your opponent adds a card from the deck to their hand, except during the draw phase. Let's see, make sure I'm doing that correctly. Then you can send this card to the graveyard so that for the rest of the turn, neither player can add cards from their deck to their hand. But it's mainly used to stop the opponent from being able to search during their turn. Usually the thing for stopping the Molcharmies is 3 copies of Ash Blossom. Just being able to discard itself to negate any card or effect that will allow your opponent to add cards from deck to hand, send from deck to grave, or summon from deck. For the spells, I play 2 copies of Hecahands Tartarus. Tartarus has 2 effects. You can only use each effect per turn. Where if you control a Hecahands monster, you can target a spell or trap card your opponent controls, return it to the hand. Or the effect I've only ever used is you can banish from your field or graveyard to fusion summon a Hecahands fusion monster. But if you can also use monsters you control that are owned by your opponent as fusion material as well. And then next I play 3 copies of the Hidden Hecahands. The Hidden Hecahands, has the effect that when you activate it, you can send 1 other card from your hand or field to the graveyard to then be able to add a Hecahands monster from your deck to your hand. And if you did send another card to the graveyard, you can then set a Hecahands spell or trap from your deck. And this card also has the graveyard effect of you can banish it to make your opponent draw a card and then discard a card. It has that effect so that if you have Gygas, Brius, or Godos in your hand, you can just summon them. And then lastly for the spells, I play 3 copies of King Sarcophagus. King Sarcophagus has the effect up to 4 times per turn. you can discard a card to send a Horus monster from your deck to the graveyard. This then also makes so your Horus monsters, what was it? Can't be destroyed. I forget what the protection is, honestly. Horus monsters you control cannot be destroyed by card effects that do not specifically target them. So if your opponent activates Raigeki and you have 4 Horus monsters and a Hecahands monster, your Hecahands monster will be destroyed, but your Horus monsters will all be fine. But then it has its last effect is a once per turn effect, where at the start of the damage step, if your Horus monster battles an opponent's monster, you can send that monster to the graveyard. So it doesn't target and it doesn't destroy. That's another reason why I like the Horus engine, is just because it's non-target removal at times. For the traps, I play 2 copies of Ibal Hecahands and 2 copies of Yodal Hecahands. Both of these traps require you to control a Hecahands monster to be able to activate. Ibal will allow you to negate an opponent's activated monster effect, destroy it, and then if you did destroy that monster, you can special summon that monster to your field. And Yodal Hecahands does the same thing, but with spells and traps. And then lastly for the traps, I play 3 copies of Infinite Impermanence. Infinite Impermanence can be activated from your hand if you control no cards, to then target an effect monster your opponent controls, negates effects. And then if this card was set when it was activated, it will then negate all spells and trap cards in the same column as it. Which, you do have to be careful if you use this on your turn, which column you use it in, because if you activate a spell card on your turn and a column Imperm was in when it was... and it's activated that turn, then your spell card will be negated by your Imperm. I've lost more games like that than I would like to admit. I'll go ahead and say that. And that is it for the main deck. I was playing 3 copies of Wall of the Imperial Tomb. Okay, no, it's Walls of the Imperial Tomb. Just as another card you can use to grab an Imseti and put, like, something like a Gygax that is in your hand that you'd rather not be there back in the deck. But I figured Imperm would probably be a better option. For the extra deck, it's mostly the same as my Kashtira versions, just replace rank 7s with rank 8s. But 1 copy of IP Masquerena just to link someone on the opponent's turn, and then make it so that your linked monster can't be destroyed by card effects. And SP Little Knight, just because I still think it's a really good card, especially you can make it on your opponent's turn with the Masquerena. Because if SP Little Knight is summoned using a Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, or Link monster, then you can target 1 card on the field or in the graveyard, banish it. You cannot attack directly the turn to use that effect. And then if SP Little Knight is... if you put out a card or effect, you can use Little Knight in response to be able to target 2 monsters on the field, a monster you control, and 1 other monster. Banish both until the end of the turn. Next, I play 3 copies of Hecahands Jowza. Hecahands Jowza has the effect that once per turn, you can add a Hecahands card from your deck to your hand. And then I feel like it does more than that. I just don't remember. Okay, it has to either be fusion summoned or special summoned from your extra deck by attributing 2 monsters you control, 1 owned by your opponent, and an illusion monster. Okay, yeah, so that's it. It's just once per turn, add a Hecahands card. But one thing I actually like doing with this is I'll use Mind Control, take an opponent's monster. Actually, make sure that this isn't like a tribute. Okay, no. Use Change of Heart, because that actually works. Because you tribute the monsters, and Mind Control says you can't tribute the monster. But activate Change of Heart, steal an opponent's monster, summon... I forgot the name already. Nightmare Apprentice. Just search for Ibal or Yodal, whichever one you don't have in hand. Usually I'll go with Ibal first. Then you can tribute the Nightmare Apprentice and the opponent's monster, summon this. And then be able to add the other one. But next, I play 2 copies of Hecahands Xeno. Hecahands Xeno has the effect of, during the main phase as a quick effect, You can look at 2 random cards in your opponent's extra deck, and then summon one of those to your field. And then, as far as I know, I've talked to a couple of judges, and this is what I've been told, was if Xeno reveals a Link monster, and you don't have an open extra monster zone, you cannot summon it to that, or you cannot summon that Link monster. As Link monsters and Pendulum monsters have to be summoned from the extra deck to extra monster zones. And but if I'm wrong about that, then comment down below just so that I know I'm not accidentally cheating with this card, because I've been known to misinterpret or misread cards. Cough, cough, Millennium Exodia, cough. But Xeno also has the effect that if it is destroyed by an opponent's card effect, then you can non-target permanently steal as many of your opponent's monsters as you want. So if they have 5 monsters and Xeno is the only monster you controlled, they destroy Xeno. Congratulations, you can take all 5 of your opponent's monsters. And then next, I play 1 copy of Dampier Vampire Sheridan. I am only playing this because of how it is able to treat any of your opponent's stolen monsters as level 6 if they have a level. So if you steal a Link or an Xyz monster, you cannot use those to summon Sheridan. But Sheridan has the effect that once per turn you can detach a material. I forget what it does. I just remember the other one is lets you summon a monster to your field. Let's see. Target a monster your opponent controls, sent to the graveyard, and if a monster is sent from the field to your opponent's graveyard by card effect, or a monster destroy a battle, you can detach a material from this card, special summon one of those monsters to your field in defense position. That's what it was. So it's just a rank 6 card like having for removal. Now for the rank 8s, I play 1 copy of Photon Lord as a monster negate. As when your opponent activates a card or effect, you can then use Photon Lord to negate that effect. But unless you detach, I believe it's a Galaxy card, then that monster won't be destroyed. And since I don't play Galaxy cards in this deck, Photon Lord is simply a monster negate. It does not destroy. 1 copy of Dengirsu, just be able to just send a card on the field to the grave when it's summoned. Or you could also use Dengirsu to attach the hidden Hecahands to it, so you can use the graveyard effect again later if you need to. Or on another turn, that is. 1 copy of Coach King Giant Trainer. As Giant Trainer can up to thrice per turn let you draw a card, reveal it, and if it's a monster, your opponent takes 800 damage. But if you use that effect of Coach King Giant Trainer, you cannot conduct your battle phase that turn. 1 copy of Hope Harbinger Dragon Titanic Galaxy. This card is a spell negate that then attaches to it. But it can also redeclare attacks onto itself. So your opponent does something like has a Blue Eyes attack into your Hecahands Gygas that's in attack mode for some reason. You can use the Hope Harbinger to make it so the Blue Eyes attacks itself instead of the Gygas. Next, I play my favorite rank 8, which is 1 copy of number 1 Infection Buzz King. When this card is summoned, you get to look at your opponent's extra deck and send a monster from it to the graveyard. Buzz King can also use, once per turn, use a material to target 1 card your opponent controls and destroy it. And if it was a monster, your opponent takes damage equal to that monster's original attack. Or was it the attack on field? I don't remember. I think it was the attack on field. Let's see. Only once per turn. Detach material, target card your opponent controls, destroy it. Then if you destroy a face-up monster, inflict equal to half it. It deals damage equal to half the attack it had on field. It's been a while and I couldn't remember correctly for some reason. And its last effect is during your standby phase, you can attach 1 card from your opponent's field or from your opponent's graveyard, I believe. Okay, yes. During your standby phase, it lets you attach a card from your opponent's graveyard to it as material. What I like about this effect is that it does not target to steal. And that it also fits the theme of Hecahands just stealing your opponent's cards. Speaking of stealing your opponent's cards, I also play the one copy of the Zombie Vampire. Just like Sheridan, you can use your opponent's stolen monsters that have levels as level 8 for this card's Xyz summon. And then, once per turn, you detach material. Both players send the top 4 cards of the deck to the graveyard, and then you can summon one monster from those 8 cards that were just sent to the graveyard. And I think this does one other thing, I just don't remember. Let's see. Level 8. Neither player can target the card. Effects or special monsters. Okay. Then, let's see. This card also has the effect of neither player can target this card effects or special. This card or the effects. Bleh. I'm going to just start over that. It also has the protection effect of itself and other monsters you control that were special summoned from the graveyard cannot be targeted by your opponent's card effects. That is its last effect. And then the last card in the extra deck is the one copy of Superstar Slayer Typhon Sky Crisis. You can Xyz this, or when your opponent has something from the extra deck 2 or more times on either this turn or the previous turn, you can Xyz summon this card using the strongest monster you control, your choice if it's a tie. But it negates the effects of, or neither player can activate the effects of monsters with 3,000 or more attack. And then once per turn, you can detach a material, target a card. Is it a card or a monster? And then return it to the hand. See, detach a material from this card. Return one monster on the field to the hand. And then that is it for my Horas Hecahands deck profile. If you have any ideas what I can do to improve the deck, any ideas about how Xeno's effect works with Link monsters, and you don't have an open extra monster zone, any ideas for decks like C be made in the future, or decks like C face each other, I'm currently working on having one of my friends help me with, or letting me make a deck profile of their Cool Tune deck, just because I don't want to have to get Cool Tune because I'm not that interested in the deck, even though I know it's the best of the 3 Phantom Revenge archetypes. But like I said, if there are any decks like to see made, any improvements, or decks like to see face each other, comment down below. I always read the comments. I'm still working on a couple of the comments I've read. If you're still here, thanks for watching.